Most people picture ancient Egyptians as pyramid builders in white linen robes, but daily life in the Nile Valley was full of customs that would seem bizarre today. From smearing human brains on eye infections to keeping cheetahs as household companions, the Egyptians found inventive, sometimes unsettling ways to solve problems and express their beliefs. Today, we're looking at 11 of the most surprising practices that reveal just how unusual and surprisingly advanced this ancient civilization really was. Number 10. Shaving heads to stay clean. In ancient Egypt, head lice were an everyday nuisance in the hot climate. The Nile's humidity and Egypt's dusty environment created perfect breeding conditions for parasites. Instead of tolerating constant itching, Egyptians took a radical approach. They shaved their heads entirely. Men and women both adopted this style to ward off parasites and stay cool during scorching desert days. Women who wanted to maintain their appearance wore elaborate wigs made from human hair or plant fibers. The wealthy could afford wigs made from real human hair, often styled in intricate braids and adorned with gold ornaments. These wigs became symbols of wealth and fashion, carefully styled for special occasions and discarded if lice were discovered. Priests were required to shave their entire bodies every few days as part of their religious duties, believing that hair harbored impurities. For Egyptians, baldness wasn't something to hide. It was a sign of hygiene, good sense, and spiritual purity. Number 9. Sleeping on hard headrests. Soft pillows didn't exist in ancient Egyptian bedrooms. Instead, people rested their heads on curved supports made from wood, stone, or ivory. These hard headrests weren't designed for comfort in the modern sense. Egyptians believed elevating the head protected a person's life force. At the same time, they slept, keeping insects from crawling into their ears and noses. The craftsmanship was remarkable. Wealthy Egyptians owned headrests carved from expensive materials such as ebony or decorated with precious metals. Some headrests were carved with protective symbols intended to ward off evil spirits. The god Bez, a dwarf deity who protected sleepers, was commonly depicted on headrests. His fierce expression was intended to ward off demons. People gradually developed calluses on their necks from using these supports nightly. If you think your pillow is uncomfortable, imagine dozing off on a polished block of stone every night. Number 8. Playing an early form of bowling. Leisure time in Egypt wasn't all music and banquets. People of all ages enjoyed a game that closely resembled bowling. Archaeologists uncovered a special room near Cairo dating back over 5,000 years. It had a lane carved into the floor and balls with finger holes. Players attempted to roll their ball through a narrow opening in the lane. At the same time, an opponent defended the target, adding a strategic element that was missing from today's bowling. The balls were made from various materials: clay for common people, and polished stone for the wealthy. Some balls were decorated with hieroglyphs, suggesting that the game may have had spiritual significance beyond mere entertainment. Temple workers had their own bowling areas, and the game was popular among both adults and children. This early version of bowling combined skill and competition, proving that even in ancient times, people needed ways to relax and showcase their abilities. Number 7. Brushing teeth with gritty paste. Dental care mattered to Egyptians, but their toothpaste was nothing like today's minty gels. Their recipe included ashes, crushed eggshells, and ground ox hooves. This gritty mixture scoured away plaque caused by their rough bread, which was often filled with sand from stone grinding tools. The Egyptian diet was particularly hard on teeth. Bread was a staple food, but grinding stones left tiny particles in the flour that significantly wore down teeth. Wealthy Egyptians had access to more refined recipes that included mint and frankincense, but even these contained abrasive materials. Egyptian dentists were surprisingly advanced. They could perform extractions, treat abscesses, and even create primitive prosthetics. Mummies have been found with gold wire holding loose teeth in place. Although it probably left their gums raw, the paste did help prevent decay in a time when dental pain was common. Even if their methods were abrasive, Egyptians showed a clear understanding that clean teeth were worth the discomfort. Number 6. Keeping cheetahs as hunting partners. While many cultures used dogs or birds to assist in hunting, Egyptian pharaohs preferred something faster: cheetahs. These sleek animals were trained to help catch antelopes and other game. The training process was elaborate and required skilled handlers who understood the behavior of cheetahs. Ramses II and other rulers kept cheetahs not only as hunting companions, but also as symbols of their status and connection to the divine. The animals were treated with extraordinary care, fed premium cuts of meat, and given comfortable living quarters within palace complexes. Tomb paintings often depict animals sitting calmly beside their owners, wearing collars and leashes crafted from gold and precious stones. The cats were imported from Nubia, making them extremely valuable. Some cheetahs were even mummified when they died, showing the deep bond between these animals and their owners. In ancient Egypt, taming a wild predator was a symbol of wealth, power, and a special relationship with nature. Number 5. Mourning cats with shaved eyebrows. Cats weren't just household pets, they were sacred. Egyptians believed that cats embodied the goddess Bastet and brought protection to their homes. When a family cat died, the loss was treated with deep respect. Relatives shaved off their eyebrows to show their grief and often held funerals complete with embalming rituals. The mourning period lasted until the eyebrows grew back, typically about 2 months. Cats were wrapped carefully in linen, anointed with cedar oil, and buried with offerings to sustain them in the afterlife. These offerings included dried fish, milk bowls, and even small mouse-shaped bread. Wealthy families built elaborate cat tombs, and some cats were buried with their own canopic jars, just as human mummies were. Harming a cat, even by accident, could result in execution, no matter a person's social rank. Historical records tell of mobs attacking foreigners who accidentally killed cats. In Egypt, a cat's life was truly sacred. Number 4. Using meteorites as metal. Before iron smelting became widespread, Egyptians were already shaping iron beads and tools. How? By collecting meteorites that have fallen from the sky. Archaeologists found iron objects buried in tombs and confirmed through testing that they were made of meteoric metal. The iron contained high levels of nickel, a clear signature of extraterrestrial origin. Egyptians even had a special hieroglyph for this material, which meant metal from heaven. The metal was harder than bronze, but could be shaped when heated, though it required different techniques. Meteoric iron was so valuable that it was often reserved for use in pharaohs' tombs and religious objects. Tutankhamun's tomb contained a dagger made from meteoric iron, highlighting the material's prestige. They believed that using iron from the stars connected them to divine forces. Working with this rare material showed both scientific curiosity and spiritual devotion. Number 3. Worshipping crocodiles in their own city. Crocodiles inspired both fear and worship in ancient Egypt. In a city the Greeks later called Crocodilopolis, priests raised a sacred crocodile named Sukis. He wore jewelry, gold ornaments, and lived in a temple pond. The daily care was elaborate. He was fed choice cuts of meat, honey cakes, and wine, served on golden platters. Pilgrims traveled long distances to offer food and gifts, hoping the crocodile would carry their prayers to Sobek, the crocodile god of strength and fertility. Visitors could watch feeding ceremonies where priests would call the crocodile by name. Some brave pilgrims were allowed to touch the sacred animal, believing it would bring good fortune. When Sukis died, he was mummified with care and replaced by a new crocodile to continue the rituals. This blend of respect and ritual devotion shows how Egyptians connected everyday animals to divine power. Number 2. Starting a war over loud. Hippos. Sekenenre Tao II ruled Thebes and loved his hippos, which he kept near his palace. Their loud bellows disturbed Apopi, the Hyksos ruler to the north, who demanded they be removed. The message was likely more than just a noise complaint. It was probably a deliberate insult designed to provoke conflict. When Sekenenre refused, tensions grew into open conflict. He died in the struggle, his mummy showing evidence of brutal head wounds, but the fighting continued and ultimately helped reunify Egypt under native rule. Number 1. Treating eye infections with human brain paste. Egyptians suffered frequent eye infections caused by sand and flies. Their doctors created treatments with ingredients we'd never consider today. The most startling remedy involved human brains, obtained from mummification workshops. Healers divided the brain into two parts, mixing one half with honey to apply at night. The other half was dried and used as a powder during the day. While it sounds shocking now, this treatment had some logical basis. Honey has natural antibacterial properties that modern medicine recognizes. The practice was expensive and usually reserved for wealthy patients. Common people relied on simpler remedies, such as crushed beetles or crocodile dung. While it may sound disturbing, Egyptians believed this medicine drew out infections and restored balance. It was an example of how desperation and experimentation shaped ancient medical practices.